Yeah, hello everyone. So continuing with the financial accounting global settings, today we are going to discuss about the number range in detail. So let's start with our session. So this was the question in our last session. What is the length of document type? So we already know the document type is nothing but a two character alphanumeric key. Okay. So in general, if we tell about the length of the document type, it is two. Otherwise, in general, it is known as the two character alphanumeric key. Now, these are the topics that we are going to highlight or discuss in details. So we will discuss about what is the number range, what is its role in SAP, what are the types of number range like internal number range and the external number range, and further the categorization of the number ranges into year dependent and the independent. And further, we will see how to reach to the screen of the creation of the number range or the modification of it using the path and the transaction code. And finally, we will also see what are the parameters available in the screen of the number range. Okay, let's start with our main content. Okay, so number range. So in our previous session on the document type, what we discussed, each business transaction create at least single document or one document. Okay, and each document is actually assigned a unique document number. Okay, or the number we can simply say, and that number is actually controlled by the number range in SAP. Okay, so we can write it. Uh, Document is assigned the unique number which is controlled by number range. Okay, so whatever the numbering we are able to see on any of the document, it is actually controlled by the number range. Okay, let me hold it. So how we can define it in general? So you can simply say that it is a range of number that can be assigned to any document. Okay, so this is the definition of the number range. Now we will discuss about the two main categories of the number ranges. Okay, or we can say the two types of number range. Okay, what are those two types? Let me mention it. Two types. Okay, so the one is internal and the next is external. Okay, so let me mention it. The second is external. So what is the difference between these two number ranges? So internal number range is a range which is actually automatic in nature. Okay, so let's start with the internal number range. So this is the number range which is assigned in sequence. Okay, which is assigned in sequence, and it is automatic. Okay, means it is automatically assigned. We don't give any number while we are posting or parking any of the document. So it is assigned automatically by the system, and the number range is applicable in sequence. For example, if you have posted one document, then the range of the number of the second document would be 2 and then 3 and so on. Okay, so this is how it works. And further thing is, for example, internal number range is always numeric. Okay, so the number which is getting assigned to a document, it will be in a numeric form if it is a internal number range. So we have the option of both internal as well as the external in SAP. So once we will be seeing the practical session on this number range after this part, so we will be able to see how these are defined and how these two behaves in the system. So next is the external number range. So our one, I told you it is automatic and no manual intervention is needed, but here it is manual. Okay, so you give actually the number to the document. Okay, so we manually give it, And these for example, if we saw the real-time application, so whenever for example there might be a scenario, you purchased something from the vendor and you received the invoice or the bill of that or the receipt of that from the vendor having their own maintained number, okay, on that particular own invoice number maintained there. So as per them, you have to, for example, there is a requirement, you have to put that same receipt number into your system, so that would be a manual number and won't be matching with your sequence. So that is why we need the external number range also. And further, unlike the numeric, external number range can be alphanumeric. Okay, so there is no necessity that it will be alphanumeric. It can be alphabetic, it can be numeric, or the mix of both. So this is how it is defined. Now further, I told you we have the categorization. Okay, so the categorization is, it is categorized into two part. The one is year dependent and the next is year independent. Okay, so what is the difference between these two? So this is also another important thing you will see in the real-time project whenever you are working. So this year dependent actually, for example, applicable for a specific year. Okay, so that is why this number range changes, okay, with each year. So you have to define the number range each year. Okay, but in the year independent, what we do, we actually create one number range and then it is applicable for the upcoming years. Okay, so that is why we call it continuous. So it continue to exist. And year dependent, it means once you, for example, define it, and once you define it, you no need to give or maintain the number range annually. Okay, but in the year dependent, your number range would be finished once your fiscal year is finished. Okay, now I would like to discuss some of the important pointers which you have to keep in your mind, which is very much important from the real time perspective or the interim perspective. So let me mention some of the important points. Okay, this number range is also identified by two character alphanumeric key. Okay, like it can be like 01, it can be like 10, it can be like A1, it can be Z1, and so on. Okay, so this is the two character alphanumeric key, like the document type. And further, unlike the document type, which actually defined at the client level, but this is defined at the company code level. So whatever the number range you are maintaining, those all are defined at the company code level, means those number range whatever you are maintaining would be applicable to that specific company code where you are maintaining it. Okay, so it means separately or individually you have to create number range for each company code. Okay, and one thing is that one number range can be assigned to multiple document types within company code. Okay, so if you see, it can be like applied or it can be used by a single company code wherever you are creating it, but apart from that it can be assigned to a multiple document type, but the condition is these should align in a that particular or the specific company code under which you have created it. And the next point is, in accounting, the document length by default, for example, the number which is assigned to a document by default, its length is 10 digit. Okay, or we can say the 10 characters. And there is a one important point. For example, in case you gave, for example, 1010, you gave this number to your document, but by default, the length of the document is 10 digit, or the number which is assigned to a document is of 10 digit. So in that case, for example, let me write it. In case of shorter length that we are giving, what happens? System adds leading 0 for numeric, okay, and trailing 0 for alphanumeric number range. So what do we mean by this? System adds leading 0 for numeric number range. So it means, for example, I told you like we are giving the document number like 1010. So it means we are simply giving four numeric keys. In that case, these are shorter than 10 digit length. So it will automatically add six character, okay? Or the six character would be in the form of zero, leading zero. Before those four character 1010, you will be having six zeros. And in case you are giving alphanumeric number to your document type, so in that case, what happens, for example, I give IN. So these are the four character, but these are shorter than 10 digits. So in that case, it will add six zero, which are trailing, means after those four character, you will be having those six zero, like IN 000000. So this is how it will look like. I can give you example also. Let me mention it. So the leading would be looking like, for example, 2 3 4 5 6 10 10. Suppose I gave this number. So in case of external number range we are applying, I told you the number range can be given manually, or the number can be given manually to the document. So in this case, we just give, for example, these four digit. So the document number which would be visible would be like this: six leading zero followed by those four digit which you have given. And then we are having this trailing, okay, trailing zero. So in that case, I told you if manually in case of external number range, we gave it IN, then these six zeros would be in trailing form, or would be following these four character. Okay, so this is how your document number would look like. And further, if we see for the accounting document, okay, there is a one number range object. Okay, so for accounting, you have to remember, in case of like in accounting, number range object is, you have to remember, okay, it is very much important, because what will happen whenever you will be having any of the issue related to the accounting document number range, okay, so you will be able to see this particular object, okay, in that particular error screenshot you will be able to see somewhere some this range object is written as rf underscore beleg, okay. And after that, what happens in detail, if you see, it is also followed by one sub object. Sub object is nothing but a company code, okay. I'm writing in short. For example, in like detail or in length, it will be looking like rf underscore beleg and then space. For example, our company code is INTA. We already know it will be appearing like this. Okay. So in accounting, number range object is RF Beleg and sub object is company code, which is followed by this particular object. And in length or in complete, it will look like RF underscore Beleg, and with space, it is followed by the company code. Okay. And another important point is there is a table to store the all number ranges, not only for accounting. These can be, for example, you can find number range related to accounting using this object, sub object in the document, uh, and the number range, okay, two character whatever you are defining. So table for it is NRIV, okay, which, for example, under this table you can find the accounting document number range, like what is the length, whether it is internal or the external. And this can be find out through the two character this key which is used for any number range. And then it it is like identified in the combination of that like two character number range, and then there's RF billing followed by the company code, which is our sub object. Okay. So in this table, you can find this particular number ranges. Okay. And now we already know that to define it, we are having the two approaches. One is path and the another is T code, okay, or the transaction code. So first of all, while we are going through the path, we give the T code as SPRO, and then we already know we are dealing in the financial accounting here as of now. Financial accounting, and then we have the financial accounting global settings, and then we have the document, and then document number ranges. Okay, so once you click here, you will be able to go to the screen of creating the number range under the company code. Okay, so let me also mention the T code. So the T code is FBN1, okay, which is very much important. Okay, remember this T code, often you would be able to use it. But apart from that, if we talk about at the document level, if we want to define a number range, for example, our document is JA, which is a custom document, or even for the standard like SAKR. Okay, so there might be a multiple document type at there itself. So in our previous session, we discussed about the document type, which is defined using a T code OBA7. Once you land at that screen, there is an option called number range. Let me mention number range information. So this particular option or the tab you can utilize to maintain the number range. So you will land up on the same screen of this FPN1 or the path you have used. Okay. So now let me just give you the glimpse of what are the parameters or the controls which are visible in the screen. The parameters of a screen are, so let me bold it first. Okay, so let me tell you about the parameters like number range number, and then we are having increase the size, we are having year, and then we are having from number, and then we having to number, and further we are having NR status, and final option we have the external checkbox. Okay, so let me, let me put the border, okay, and the color on it. Okay, so this is how the screen will look like. So the first column, which is related to the number range number, it is nothing but a two character alphanumeric key. Okay, for example, you can give as a like A1. And next it is a year. Okay, so in this year you can make it a like any year dependent, as we discussed above these two categories, year dependent and the year independent. So you can define this particular number range for any specific or the particular year. For example, if we can give here the 2026, or you can give also the like 9999. So 4 times 9, if you give it, it will become a year independent, and otherwise it will be a year specific. And further you can give the from number, for example 1 to 100 or 1 to 10. Okay, so whatever the number range you want, you can give from, and the example, this represents a lower limit of the number range and it represents the upper limit of the number range. And this is no NR stands for number range status. So it means, for example, most of the time if you open the screen, you will be able to see the zero. So it means no document has been generated using this number range. And if, for example, any number is written there, for example, 5 is written, so it means the 5 number has have already been utilized of the number range. So the next document which would be created would be having a number 6. Okay, so the next document would be having a number 6. And then we are having this external as a checkbox. So this, if you keep it blank, so it will consider the number range is internal means the number would be automatically be assigned to a document and there's no manual intervention. And once you check it, so it will tell you you have to give the number manually. Okay, but for that also you will have to maintain the limit. Okay, so this is how the whole screen will be looking like, and for like in detail we will be seeing in our next session related to the practical configuration of numbering in the system. So let's jump on to our question section, which I want you to give the answer in the comment section. So the question is, which is the number range suitable for invoices having identification from our contractor. So this part I already told you in the beginning of the session. For example, if we are having the invoices from our contractor in the form of supplier or the vendor, and they are having their own identification on that particular invoice. So in our system SAP, what type of number range would be suitable? Okay, that's all for today.